we got probably one more push down on the Qs, and then we'll have to see what's up. Like this is going to be a little bit tricky. If you think about it, this is the third down day, but we had one kind of up day and then really four more, right? So we have an interesting spot. So when you think about like, okay, the market is dumping off. What the fuck? It's so dark. When you think about it, like, okay, the market is dumping off, it's doing this, it's doing that. You also have to take into context, like, okay, now we're gapping down today. We're at day 7. We're at day 7 out of 8 days of like, kind of bleeding out. And we're getting into a little bit of support. So that's going to make things really tricky today. Yesterday was the day to stack it. Like that was the day to kind of rip your big day because you had the trend. Today is probably going to be more of a scalper's day because you have like different things that are coming into play. Number one is like you're getting a little bit oversold and coming into support, but the price action has been just nasty. So you have short-term price action that's super nasty. The longer-term supports are coming into play, and then you're getting some oversold readings. So the odds of getting like an easy trend day like yesterday is probably pretty small. Today could be just a little chop fest due to the fact that we're starting to, get into some supports, but we're also oversold. So today at the open, especially, you want to take it a little bit easy and really figure out like which way the trend is going to roll. We really just don't know. Now the gap down helps. If we had a bigger one and down into this support over here, I would be trying to play for the red to green and the gap fill. But because this is a light open, and then the IWM itself is also opening up green, we could fade off for a hot second. But what usually happens, for those guys who've been with us in the chat room for so long, what usually happens when you get these kind of oversold readings too, oftentimes like you'll dump under the previous day's lows and then like hold there for a second and suck in all the shorts. And then like, the market ends up doing what's essentially called a double Lutzi, which is like you break under and then you break back over. So that's why I think today is going to be a little bit tricky. We'll have to trade a little bit light at the open. I would be probably trading half size at the open till you get a clear direction of where the trend is going to be. And there's no hurry on this stuff because right now the market is so volatile that you're going to be able to catch a chunk somewhere. And that's the big thing, right? Like, where can I go in and catch a chunk somewhere? That's the whole ball game right there. So we want to be able to, do that. And you can see here on the SPY, we're really down on the 50 SMA too, which is, give or take a semi support level for it. The Dow has still been holding up okay. This is going to be a hot mess today, I think. But let's take a look at the earnings plays. And the other thing is this, like, you don't have to be balls deep on everything in this type of market. Like a lot of times you see like this big range and you think like, okay, I should be oversizing because I can make all this money. I can maybe make my losses back or do this or that or get these big gains. But that's not really what needs to happen. Like this is the time where you trade smaller and let the ranges play you. I was looking over some of these trades yesterday and it was like in, out, in, out, in, out. The stock moved like $30 and it was like in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, like every 10 seconds. And it's like, well, that's not really, what we need to be doing. So like that during that point, like you really want to be cutting off your size and, being a little bit more juicy on that. Now let's see here. Let me run the gappers list here and then let's see what's going on. What the fuck? Hold on here. Pre-market. Oh, there we go. What the fuck? Little bastards at TC2000 want to play games with me? Is anybody else's gapper list not holding? Let me reboot my TC2000 here. Hold on here 1 second. Hey, Andrew, what's up, baby? We're going to reboot this TC for a little bit. On the other side of things, the crypto markets are also taking a dump, but the Ethereum is on your 200-day moving average, so you will have a little bit of juice probably from there. All right, we're back in the game. Hold on here. All right, let's see if there's any kind of good PR plays that are running around. All right. And by the way, like you shouldn't be really trading small caps during this time. There's just no point. You know, if you're really like when you have so much range on individual stocks, like if you if you're sitting there and you need to trade small caps, like you're really not looking at the right stuff. But let's take a look and see what's going on. This looks like a buyout. Junk, 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 junk. Why is the volume breaking? BBW swings, a fiscal adjusted loss, net sales decline, revises guidance. You know, this is like tricky because like you're gapping up right into resistance. Like this is probably a prime time candidate to actually probably just roll over. Not really a priority on that. I mean, this thing's a bitch to trade too. It does have 5 million shares in volume, so you will, you might get a little heat on it. It is like a little bit more of a cult stock, but like these kind of stocks, like even if they announce good news, if they gap up into resistance, which almost every stock is like, right now just pummeled, if they're not clearing out enough levels of supply, you end up just kind of fading off. So like, think about it like more like, right? Like see if like BYD yesterday, like, right? Like it had some news out with KFC or some bullshit, gaps up right into resistance and it fucking fades off all day. In a shitty market, like everything is a liquidity trap, meaning like people are just looking, they'll take any strength and they'll try to fucking use it to, to get some cash out. So you can see here this year, this is a little bit of a cult stock too. This is probably something like if you do like these little guys, this is probably something that's in play today. I'm not going to chase up in the teeth of like a bear market, something up 76%. But like you could add that. I mean, I'll keep an eye on it for you guys, but that's not really, our bread and butter right now. This thing, I think, is probably, if it spikes off enough, we might be able to even get a fade on it. Oil still going up. So like when you see UCL going up, like think about like, okay, what are the oil stocks that have like good range and then also could be running with it, like a 6% move in UCO is pretty good. So like you could take a look here, like Oxy had an inside day yesterday. So like it started off at, previous day's resistance, but it didn't fade off the whole gap. So you can count that as an inside day. Like this is probably something that could be in play. Fang had a little bit of a fade with the rest of the market, but this is also an inside day. Like this is starting to push out over the previous day's high. You have like a big long base over here that it's breaking over. This is another one that, can get juicy. Now, oil stocks do stink to trade, like in general. Like this day is like a rare bird, but like it's got good range on it. It's rare to see oil stocks trend, but like, it seems like you're starting to see a little one. No, Benjamin, I got it. I got it, buddy. Don't you worry. I'm always counting those steps. So this is probably something that can get going over here too. Oxy could be another one that's like getting juicy. So watch like the range from these previous 2 days. If you start to attack it, you're going to be able to probably get a little bit of a shred. You don't want to really come in too hot on the mid range on this because it may just get stuck. Dick's Sporting Goods. What was the news on this one? Oh, they get a little price target raise. Let me see here. Dick's Sporting Goods, where dreams are made. Oh, they had earnings out. So Dick's raises guidance from 24-25% to 25-26%, blah, blah, blah. Adjusted EPS guide from $14 to $15. So they raised guidance essentially. Dick's, where dreams are made. I mean, look, if Dick's has earnings out, like you got to put it on your watch list just so you can say Dick's all day. Dick's is getting hot. Dick's is ORB. Dick's is looking soft. I mean, just for that alone, especially during those lunch hours where there's not much to do, like we put Dick's on our watch list. We talk about it all day. Whether I'll trade it or not, I don't know. The float on it's actually pretty low, but like this is also, it's a penis in between us. It's like between support and resistance. Now it does have a little bit more room to go. you don't have any resistance to like 119. So it can definitely hold. There, the big hairy butt of dicks, though, is that it tends to have a spread on it. So you got to be real mindful of that. DB, Deutsche Bank. Fuck these guys. These are guys are criminals. Bank stocks are the worst thing to trade beyond the fact that, bankers are criminals. But this is like probably more of a swing trade. This is a European company. So almost all the moves are in gaps. Like the actual intraday range on them is very little. Like if you look at the ATR, the average true range on this, it's 29 cents. So like, what are you really going to be able to get out of it? So like, it's actually like a really nice pattern, except for the fact that it's just a slow mover, and it's probably a super heavy float stock in the billions. So that's not really anything you want to be trading. Now, I will come back, some of these metals companies, they did fade off in the close because there was a full-blown, right, market dump yesterday. I mean, we had basically, people were running for the hills is the only way to put it, right? It's like a liquidation of the market. So if the market does gain any strength, it's probably going to be in some of these weird metal names. Like you had BTU hold up yesterday. You got this, like some of these uranium plays. FCX has got a really nice pattern, CCJ. And this new core had a lot of relative strength yesterday. Like it actually held up. And you got yourself a breakout that's like developing over here. It's DRIV, chatroom, the ETF for autonomous vehicles, I believe. But see, this new core's got actually a nice breakout on it. This is the right sector, the right time. It's got enough ATR. It's about 4 points in ATR. I actually got this on the list. I think we can actually day trade this. It may not be as sexy as like, some of the tech stocks and stuff, but this has probably got just enough range on it. And the pattern is nice. And you had a big volume expansion. So if you're normally doing like 3 million shares, you got to about 9 million yesterday. So over 2 times its normal average in volume. And it actually held up pretty well. Like even in the liquidation into the close of the market, like this thing was cooking. I would actually keep that on the watch list. I don't know if that's 6 windows worthy, but I think it's, it's definitely worth a little goose and a gander. Oh, fuck. Monaco. Sorry, it's got this weird alert. Anybody see any news in Monaco? What the fuck? Dun, 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 dun. You see over here this fucking thing. It just came out of nowhere. It was really left in the dumper for a second. And then, Samsung is partnered with Decentraland to open flagship 837 store. That's not too bad. And a little new Samsung news. Samsung is partnered with Decentraland to open its flagship 837 store in the metaverse. That might be worth a gander later. This crypto market is in the teeth of a bear. I've been short for a little bit of time, trying to short, I should say. But you got here, like you got Bitcoin. It took out its bear flag yesterday. So if you're really looking at these things, they've got room to fall here. Like you took out this 46. This was a really key range. And then you probably are going to be drifting down at least to 40 on this bad boy. But the thing that might hold up, the crypto market in general, the Ethereum is hanging out. I don't know why. Hold on here. You see Ethereum is sitting on its, MAs over here, and it does like to bounce off this level. But I don't know if this is going to be like a bounce that holds for more than a handful of days. Like overall, like if you look here, it's just lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Your MAs are pointing down. So like at that point, this is guilty till proven innocent. You may catch a quick bounce, off of that, but a couple hundred points maybe. But in general, like even Bitcoin, it's at the lower Bollinger Band. So like I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing kind of rip back and maybe retest the 44, 45 range. But in general, like it's a dud. If you think about like more like kind of just like relative strength and stuff on the cryptos, then you obviously Mana's holding up. And if Mana starts to go, then, Sand usually follows. And then, ENJ is like also a little bit more of it's also kind of into that space. And then, you have some of these like Near that's like pretty good. And then the one I've really been watching, I got an alert set here. If it gets down into 150, says this Matic loves to bounce off this 200-day moving average. That's really probably the sweet spot on this. I'm still short a partial on BNB, but we're pretty much at the target. My target was 450. I mean, we're pretty much there on the short on that. So, I mean, crypto's probably, we're in a bear market. There's really nothing else to say about it. Like, there'll be selective plays, but in the moment, I don't know. Armando, I use that Crypto Panic or just Twitter. I use Crypto Panic. Crypto Panic is like it's like a more of an aggregator, RSS feed aggregator. I just like the layout of it because it's like very like, it looks kind of like Benzinga a little bit. I don't see any other good really heaters over here. I think we're gonna have to play it the way how we play things today is going to be super market dependent. So let's take a look. Like if we do bounce, all right. And I think at some point we're going to probably attempt a little bit of a bounce. Especially if we can get down into these levels. But even if we gap down and flush down at the open, we may try for a red to green just because we're getting into those oversold readings. So we do need a bounce. This Roblox is sitting on the 200-day moving average. We've been shorting this every day, but it's getting now probably into a sweet spot where it's due for a little bit of a bounce. I like the overall location of it. I think, we can roll with that. I think this ZS, this thing was $30. If we could tap into the 200-day moving average, I think that's probably, going to be a spot there too. If we need a bounce, a firm is getting super oversold here too. Probably one more flush down on this. This one is, this one bounces the hardest when it's time to bounce. So I think that one's probably got a good location. And then this NVIDIA is at a real sweet spot here where, if the market does bounce, it's the exact same chart of the QQQs. If the market does bounce, then this is probably, due for a push into kind of mid 280s, 290s, 300s. I think that will be okay. If it loses this 274 though, say the market does want to flush off today, and yesterday's not a one-off thing, then, we can also short this thing under. Now, there are a lot of markets, like in trending markets, that are very specific on the direction. So like you have setups and you have a setup in XYZ stock and it's only that, right? It's like XYZ is XYZ, it's a long and we're going to take XYZ pattern. Right now, every single stock is going to shift with the overall market and the big distribution that's happening. So you don't need a list of like 1,000 names. Like what you need is a list of just a handful of names that have liquidity so you can really get in and out, pretty easily. So like just be super mindful. A couple of relative strength plays, like if the market does hold up, this MU has been holding up over here, and then Ford has been holding up and GM has been holding up. So like those are they'll be probably the leaders if the market can hold. We have a couple relative strength type of plays to be mindful of. But otherwise, leave this stuff alone. Trade small, half sizes at the open. Like we don't got to get too crazy on anything, and just be real mindful. Like keep a chart of the indexes up. Even though the indexes hide a lot of damage, I think that we're going to be in an interesting spot where everything is just going to move in tandem for the next handful of days to even weeks. And the news flow has been bad too. The Fed came out with their minutes. They sounded pretty negative. They're going to be raising rates and doing all sorts of stuff anyways. So today's going to be a mixed bag. Remember, we're oversold and on support, but the price action is weak. So that's where like you have conflicting things. So be prepared to be long, short, probably a handful of times today. We may have to kind of, I wouldn't say guess out the direction, but we'll have to let the trend set and then come in hot on it. Otherwise, stick with just liquidity and we're going to be okay. Yesterday was hot. The day before was double hot. Today I have a feeling we're going to have to be Scalpy McGee for a little bit, and we'll see like what's going on over here. Yeah, there's a whole host of these stocks that are super weak. You know, Baba could be another relative strength play. You know, they had an investment from Charlie Munger, and you got a nice rounding pattern on this. So if we need a long, I think that's probably also with MU, both relative strength plays. Let's do this. Good. Hey, this market is not for everybody. So if you're just brand new, just sit around, see what's going on, get the lay of the land, trade small. We're going to get this thing done right today, though. We're good God-fearing folk over here at Bulls on Wall Street. I'll tell you that right now.